contributions to the Mac community. But Dan, thank you for being here. And again, have a great day 2 at JNUC.
Happy Wednesday, Nashville. It is great to see everybody at yet another spectacular JNUC 2024. My name is Dan Snelson, and I am a senior system engineer with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We are sometimes called Mormons because of our belief in a volume of companion scripture to the Holy Bible called the Book of Mormon. Let's talk about user-friendly and database-optimized inventory updating, because you gotta love inventory updating. So first, let's go back to Groundhog Day. On Groundhog Day of this year, I logged into a Mac Mini that needed an OS update. And I was greeted by not 1, not 2, not 4, but 3 pending updates. I watched as inventory was needlessly submitted after each and every update, just like I told it to. Since Jamf recommends that you only update inventory twice daily per computer, I thought there had to be a better way. Hopefully, after this session, you will never needlessly update inventory again, and your database will love you for it too. So first, let's go back to Groundhog Day. On Groundhog Day of this year, I'm joking. Let's move on. So here's our agenda. We'll start with an overview and then spend the bulk of our time together on configuration. We'll take a brief look under the hood and review a racing stripe I think you'll appreciate. And we'll finish up with resources and Q&A. So let's level set with a quick overview. For our overview, we'll start with a demo of the current situation versus the desired situation. We'll then cover the workflow, the various operation modes, and some assumptions. Here's a demo of the current built-in option for updating inventory versus a Swift dialogized option. We call Self-Service Plus the Workforce App Store. The current built-in option for updating inventory in self-service doesn't provide a lot of user feedback. A Swift dialogized option for updating inventory provides more detailed, user-friendly experience. So that was a demo of the current built-in option for updating inventory versus a Swift dialogized option. So let's look at these policies in Jamf Pro. Here's an overview of the inventory-related policies in Jamf Pro. Daily inventory update is policy ID number 1. Nothing fancy, 0 user interaction. At check-in once every day, each computer should update its inventory with the Jamf Pro server. The update inventory current policy is the built-in maintenance payload with update inventory enabled and is made available in self-service. However, as we just observed, it doesn't provide a lot of user feedback. The update inventory desired policy calls the update inventory with progress script, which leverages Swift dialog to provide users with detailed feedback. Additionally, there are some operation modes, which we'll discuss in an upcoming slide. The update inventory desired policy also includes the files and processes payload with an execute command to simulate the logged in user pressing the escape key and then refreshing service via Command R. To pull this off, you're going to have to first deploy a privacy preferences policy configuration profile. And there's a detail on my slide, on my blog post. So here's an overview of the workflow. You, the Jamf Pro administrator, determines the number of seconds to wait before inventory should be updated, as either a script default on a per policy basis or both. So for example, 90,061 seconds is 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 1 second. During initial script execution, a hidden file is created client-side and inventory is updated, while a detailed progress dialog is displayed to the end user. On all subsequent script executions, the creation date of this hidden file is read into a variable, which is then compared to the script's execution date. If the computer's inventory is fresh, meaning the number of seconds hasn't passed, the script displays a message stating that an inventory update is not required, or optionally silently exits, displaying no dialog. If the computer's inventory is stale, meaning the specified number of seconds has passed, a detailed progress dialog is displayed, and the date of the hidden client-side file is updated. The update inventory with progress script includes the following operation modes. The default behavior provides a delayed inventory update based on the fresh versus stale logic we just discussed, and displays a detailed progress dialog to the user if the inventory is stale. The self-service operation mode always updates inventory and always displays a detailed progress dialog to your users. While originally designed for the user updating inventory via self-service, this operation mode can make sense for other policies. Soon after I completed an earlier version of the script, I realized a silent mode would be quite helpful if you wanted to update inventory if it was stale, but not necessarily display a dialog box to the user. So no dialog is presented with silent mode. Last of all, if after your testing you decide this approach is not for you, there is an uninstall option. There's no dialog displayed, and the hidden client-side file is removed. Okay? And you just need to hit me up on the Mac admin Slack that you, by the way, I just uninstalled your script. All right, so let's discuss some assumptions. This approach presumes that you are updating inventory daily, meaning that the policies that you have that update inventory are configured to run once per day. There is, of course, an obvious exception for critical updates. For non-critical updates, we allow our users to defer the updates up to 3 days. So now let's shift gears and we'll discuss configuration. We'll highlight some variables you'll want to review before adding the script to your Jamf Pro server. And then when adding the script, we'll point out the parameter labels to use. And then we'll discuss some modifications you'll want to make to your inventory updating policy. So review and adjust the global variables for your environment. change the script log variable to point at your organization-specific client-side logs. If the inventory is fresh, meaning an update is not required, when you set display progress sans update to true, your users will see this message. Set this to false to not display this dialog. Our users have grown accustomed to seeing something related to inventory after a fresh installation or an update. So in our environment, it makes sense to set this to true. In your environment, it may not. Now, while you can certainly change the values of the script parameters in your Jamf Pro policies, do yourself a favor and spend a few minutes deciding on the best defaults for your environment. Parameter 4, seconds to wait, is how stale inventory can be before performing an update. 86,400 seconds is 1 day. Parameter 5, estimated total seconds, is the total number of seconds inventory updates normally take in your environment. This value controls the progress bar. So you'll want to do some testing with a variety of users, because if you set this value too low, your users will observe the progress bar quickly reaching 100, but then there's still inventory processing. Okay? Parameter 6, operation mode, we discussed previously, and you can set this to whatever makes sense in your environment. The organization directory is the storage location for the hidden file, which keeps track when inventory was last updated. This directory must previously exist. Now, during post-enrollment with Set Up Your Mac, we deploy some client-side scripts, and that's the directory that we use. The complete inventory progress function controls what is displayed to the user once inventory update has completed. Please note the hard-coded value of 3 for sleep so that the user actually sees the dialog. When adding the script to your Jamf Pro server, the blog post includes descriptions for each parameter, which you can copy pasta. So here's what these look like in Jamf Pro. Here, we're looking at settings, computer management, scripts, options. Finally, we're ready to modify our inventory update policy. We'll be replacing the default maintenance payload, update inventory option, with the scripts payload using our customized update inventory with progress script. And here's what this looks like in Jamf Pro. This is the before, and this is the after. Notice that by leaving seconds to wait and estimated total seconds blank in the policy, we're using the default specified in the script itself, while operation mode is set to self-service, because this policy is what we're using in self-service, meaning we always want to update inventory if the user clicks the button, while always displaying a detailed dialog to the user. Let's take a look under the hood. The update dialog function is a thing of beauty. To me, this is the genius of Bart Reardon's Swift dialog. In the proper format, you can send new information to a running dialog, seamlessly keeping your users in the loop. During your testing, it's a good idea to slightly adjust the hard-coded value of sleep and observe the change in behavior. Pro tip, search the script for the usage of the update dialog function, and you'll have a better understanding of what's happening under the hood. Double pro tip, if you're in a position to do so, please consider buying Bart a coffee. You'll want to review the update inventory progress function. specifically the inventory progress text variable, as you may find that I've eliminated too much or not enough of the progress text, which is displayed below the progress bar. Let's now discuss a racing stripe, which you may wish to implement for many of your other Jamf Pro policies. We have, and it works quite well. For this racing stripe, we'll leverage a dedicated inventory update with progress policy, which will provide our users detailed feedback at the conclusion of many of our other policies. Let's take a look. We'll switch to Jamf Pro and observe that the policy has a custom trigger only with an execution frequency of ongoing. When adding the script's payload, we'll purposely leave each of the script parameters blank to leverage the defaults specified in the script. The scope is all computers, excluding those too old to run Swift dialog, and the policy is not available in self-service, and there isn't any user interaction. Let's look at a demo of a few browser installations, because you can never have too many web browsers. And here's what these policies look like in Jamf Pro. Notice that each of these policies have an execution frequency of once every day. And you'll once again observe that we're leveraging the files and processes payload with the execute command to call our inventory update with progress policy at the end of each of our browser installation policies. And this one-liner is available on my site. Let's finish up discussing resources and hopefully answering any questions. So here's a QR code for the blog post on my site, and I hope we crash it. And I'm ready for questions. Is there a microphone, or are we just speaking out from the diaphragm, or what are we doing? And hats off to Justin. Excellent job. There's a question here.
I actually have two questions. The first one is, was the design of this more for you guys on the IT side or more for the end users?
Both. So you don't want to excessively update inventory, and the built-in option, it just spins. You don't know if it's working or not, right? I see heads nodding. You click and you watch, and you're like, is this actually doing anything? So it's both. But that was So your one question had two answers, both. What's your second question?
My second question was, do you have something special running to remove items from self-service once they're installed?
I do. And the answer to that is we're simulating Command R. And so that command is in the blog post as well. So it effectively is, if the user drills into a policy, if you hit escape, you get back, right? And then if you hit Command R, the once every day policies have executed, and so they magically disappear. Okay? And you had a question, right?
Hey, Dan.
Oh, but someone else beat you with a mic. Please.
Quick question. First of all, thank you. I've been on that website for the last 3 years now, and amazing work. Thank you very much for that. And secondly, the second example that you gave where you were calling that script for installation of browsers, and I'm guessing that will work for any other packages. Does the package type have to be specifically PKG, DMG, or it does not matter?
No, it doesn't matter. The example I gave was with Installator. Okay. But it can be anything, right? Because you're just going to use the files and processes payload with the execute command, and you're just going to say, I want to call this policy afterward. Okay? And so then you're not adding that to every single policy. You're calling it from a policy, right? So then, oh, we need to tweak this. You're tweaking at one place. Okay, here comes the mic.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need it.
Yeah, maybe I don't need it. I think sort of the first question was answered over there. I was going to ask what was the purpose of having something visible for your users? Because I'm thinking of mostly my updates happen in the background. I don't have a lot of people going into self-service and doing something.
Okay.
And the second was, could you have done 90% of the work by just separating inventory into a separate policy using the Jamf built-in update inventory and then setting that policy to only execute once a day? And then when it gets called from your thing, it's already on once during the day then.
Yeah, so it depends how you like to engineer it.
Okay.
Do you want to update inventory after somebody installs Office, or are you okay waiting till tomorrow?
Yeah, generally tomorrow's fine.
Okay, perfect. Please. We've got two questions on this side. And if you don't need the mic, you don't need to wait for the mic.
My question is, so obviously Jamf recommends twice a day
Per computer, yeah.
per computer,
A maximum.
which is probably to optimize it. My head is spinning on like how I'm going to be switching a lot of things because I have like some things that if user were to uninstall or anything, it's going to, bring it back, and it might be, a critical app kind of thing. So, like,
Right.
Do you have like scenarios like that, or
So our uninstall policies are scoped to our support personnel. So they log into self-service with their accounts, and they have the uninstall policies. But if you're going to uninstall our EDR, I'm updating inventory. I don't care what anybody says. I want to know that my EDR software has been ripped off there. And does that answer the question?
yes.
So you take it. It's a rule of thumb.
2 is basically
Right.
recommended, but obviously.
Right. And there was another question in the back, I think. Here we are.
Mine was very similar to his. I have some workflow set up where if a user uninstalls something or desktop support uninstalls it, and it's something that should be required on their device, I have it kind of kick off to go ahead and rerun that program. So, for example, I have some app installers that are set up. So if someone needs to remove it for troubleshooting purposes, it falls into another group, so then the app installers will then show up in self-service for them to install it again. So in that kind of situation,
You've got to. You may want to talk with Jamf support. If you're not open, if you don't have So we're hosted on-prem, and so I may have a lot more visibility to what our environment's doing. But if Jamf says, it looks like you are updating inventory excessively, you may go, oh, that's right, I didn't pay attention to a JNUC session I attended. What was that? It was Nelson.us, is that the guy's site? Was it Nelson or Nelson? Yeah, so you just do what you think is best, but that's Jamf's recommendations, twice daily per computer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? The princess wave is typically the easier thing to see. And if you like, oh, there we are, right here a question. If you like, the next time you walk into a room, do the evil monarch wave. Do this. Please. Amir, right?
Yes. So as far as the organization directory, could we just add something to create it on the fly?
Yes.
And,
You could edit my check that requires it to exist.
just want to make sure.
I'll show you. Yeah, just
And maybe
make it bend to your will. Right? That's what open source is.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's convenient. I appreciate you waiting.
Ta-da. Apologies, this sounds like a beginner question. I'm relatively new to Jamf. You said Jamf does a inventory update after every application installation.
You're the admin. Are you telling it to?
I have no idea if I'm telling it to do that.
Okay. Recognition is the first step to recovery.
Is that just a setting in a policy where?
Yeah, so
Do
you look at your
inventory after policy
policies and
runs?
see if you've got inventory updating after each one.
Okay.
And I think all of us have been there, right? When you're new admins, I want to know you installed Firefox. And then after a while, you're like, tell me tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question in the back. Oh, right there.
This question may be a little off.
This is a safe place.
Okay. Have you ever had a situation where the device is checking in, but for some reason inventory isn't being updated, and it could be like days, and then until you finally
Absolutely.
command it to, it will do you know why that possibly could?
Yeah, does everybody know the answer to that? You redeploy the binary, right? So on my site, if you'll search for binary, I've got a terminal command you can use. Redeploying the binary tends to kickstart it.
Or the device is unmanaged.
Or the device has been unmanaged. But reach out to Jamf support if you've got that. Yeah, and we run reports on that. Now we have an integration with ServiceNow that we call stale inventory, right? So the device is checking in, inventory hasn't been updated in weeks, right? Something is sideways. Computer record's not managed, the binary is hosed, the user will not restart, right? So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
So if you look on my site, Emily had done a post on it, and I did a terminal deal for it. So have you hit your, oh, you're helping. Perfect. Go ahead, sorry.
If the device is unmanaged, you won't be able to redeploy the binary.
Right, correct, good point. Yeah, yeah. And was there another, oh, right, in the back, thank you. So behind you. See, this is a lot easier to see.
Hey, so when you were determining, I guess, your default time for the racing stripes, I know you mentioned, test with devices. Did you ever, I guess, detect like a range? Like some devices were updating their inventory in 2 minutes, but some were taking 4, or was it consistent since you're on-prem?
So let me see if I can repeat the question. Are you asking how to determine what the default value is?
Right, because that, I'm thinking,
Okay.
as far if I start testing on a couple devices and, I
Okay.
got 5 machines that gave me, 2 minutes, but then when I deploy it, there's probably a device that's taking 6 minutes.
So if you deploy the script, in the script log, it'll include the elapsed time as part of the output. And then you can also look at the computer record to see how long the policy took. So if you don't have your an internal beta test program, you really should. And I've got a post on my site for that. So have your internal testers, 2 or 3 of them, run the script, and you'll see how long it takes in the script output and in the computer record for the policy log, and then you can adjust it. And then if it's taking way too long, I've got a extension attribute audit post on my site, which will help you determine which EAs are taking way too long, okay? And then if you want to do, I have a post on extension attribute frequency. So for example, SSIDs in Sequoia now take a long time because we had to switch how we do that. How frequently are the users on site changing their SSID? Probably not that frequently. Do I need to update with every recon? Probably not. Every third day, every fourth day, so there's an execution frequency on that too. And you can also hit me up on the Mac admin Slack too if you need to.
Awesome, great advice, thank you.
Pardon me? What other questions? Can I ask a question? Sure. Okay, here's my question. Dan, do you have an available brain date this afternoon to discuss this topic? The answer is yes. And I think there are still slots open. So if you want to do a brain date, I think I've got slots open this afternoon. I can't remember if it's at 4 or 5 or something. But are we at time or close to it? Any other questions? Now that you've handed the microphone back, let's ask a bunch of questions. We're good? Okay, thank you all.